What the day brings, the night takes away. It's always been like that, and so it will continue to be. The night in Africa does not announce a new time, but the beginning of time. A time with no beginning or end. A continuous evolution in the deepest heart of their dream of being alive. The African night is as simple as a grain of sand. It is an open jaw to the adventure of the absurd. It is like a sea of death and nostalgia, a labyrinth of recovered life. The ancient music and songs are playing, sounds that seem like dark fits of rage, the remains of the eternal memory of man. African night, wind, fire, snow, the truth of the world in an instant. For a long time, the Hammers have been big consumers of honey. They were hunters until quite recently. They attacked the wild beehives and took possession of the booty, demolishing the honeycomb. Nowadays, they prefer to domesticate the bees and build inside empty tree trunks their own beehives that hang from the acacias surrounding their homes. As a consequence of this, they obtain a sustained production that allows them to have honey during the whole year.
One of the people responsible for the change in their procedure of obtaining honey is a friend of mine called Tesfaye. He is also a veterinarian surgeon like me and also studied in Cuba. There, he learned about technique that he's trying to introduce to the Hammers.
Oh, yes. No.
The first thing Tesfaye did upon his arrival in Cuba was to carry out a study to adapt these techniques to the terrain requirements and to the cultural peculiarities of the Hammers. Later on, he searched for the support of an NGO which would finance the project, and so he started with his work. Tesfaye found the people divided, as happens with the rest of communities where the technicians who studied in Cuba work on alternative production procedures. He explains to them what this technique consists of, and little by little, the whole community puts it into practice.
እዛኛው ላይ ደግሞ ብዙ ኪሎ ግራም ነው የሚገኘው እና ያንን እናነጻጽራለን እና በኋላ ምን እናደርጋለን ሀመር ይሄንን ካወቀ በኋላ የዚህን ልዩነት ካወቀ በኋላ
In traditional honeycombs, bees use between 7 and 11 kilos to build the cells, thus leaving just 1 kilo to be collected. Tesfaye proposes an apiculture procedure with more mobility by adapting independent panels from the beehive. By being able to extract the frameworks, the honey is taken from the cells without extracting honeycomb from the panels, thus making it possible to multiply the production of honey by 7.
Hello?
A few years ago, the amount of honey collected barely covered domestic needs. Now they can sell a part of the production, which is continually growing. In the market, there is sufficient demand for the Hammers to consider making the sale of honey one of their main sources of income. Wendesen and Tesfaye go to the market as well. They want to check the weight and quality of the honey being sold. Their final objective is to convince the chiefs of other tribes to gradually become involved in Tesfaye's project. The market is at the peak of its activity. Hammer women seem to observe with an absent and indifferent air, but in fact, They do not miss any details about the clothes or coiffures worn by the women from other tribes. The men also take care of their appearance and help one another to shine their ornaments. The market is open during the whole day. The majority of people have walked for several hours to arrive here, and some of them even during the entire day. Nobody wants to return with the same weight as they were carrying on their arrival at the market. This means that, mainly in the evening, the merchandise must be sold at prices much lower than the ones quoted in the morning. By that time, when people coming from the most distant villages have already started their return trip, some people prolong the day's journey in the bar. They drink mead, a liquor obtained from the fermentation of honey at more than 18 degrees, first with the honey's own water content, and afterwards with the water they add to it. It was a very esteemed drink in medieval Europe, but it was already in Africa many centuries before. We could say that mead is one of the first liquors invented by man. Africa dances. She has been dancing for centuries. It is a dance which sounds like sorrow and hope. In the half-light of rhythm, bodies twist like adolescent rain, like the flower of a sorcerer who recites false poems of love. Music plays, and Africa dances. There is no need to speak. Their looks and gestures speak for them.
Sometimes I don't know where I am from. When I was living in Cuba, I used to dream about going back to my country. I missed something that I did not really know. Now, I remember those years and feel as if a part of me has stayed on that island. This doesn't mean that I want to go back. It is rather that I feel as if I were still there. That is why I only come back to this place, because here I recuperate Cuba's smells, the sounds that take me back to the nights in Havana. It is a strange feeling to belong to two places and feel that time goes by without really knowing where you are from.